You ever been in a place where you thought everything was going right, but somehow something got in the way? You had a plan, a direction, and you were certain it was the right one, but all of a sudden the door closed. The opportunity vanished, the person walked away, and you sat there thinking, what happened? Why did this fall apart? Let me tell you something you might not want to hear, but need to understand. God blocked it. Now I know, it's hard to grasp in the moment. It feels like pain, disappointment, rejection. It feels like failure, but that's not what it is. That's protection. That's grace in motion. That's God working overtime behind the scenes to keep you from something you didn't even know was coming. He saw it. You didn't. He heard the conversations when you weren't in the room. He knew the motives you couldn't discern. And in his love for you, he said, not her, not today, not my daughter. You see, when you're walking through life as a woman of faith, you're not walking alone. You might feel alone sometimes, but you're not. You're covered, you're protected, you're shielded. Even when your eyes can't see the danger, your spirit is being guarded by the Most High. And that's not something to take lightly. That's something to thank Him for even when it hurts. Even when it makes no sense. Some of the greatest blessings in your life didn't come from what God gave you, but from what He blocked. That man you thought was the one, God saw the abuse coming. That job you were desperate to get, God knew the spiritual drain it would cause. That friendship you tried so hard to hold on to, God saw the betrayal building. And so He intervened, silently, strategically, sovereignly. He stepped in between you and what was never meant to have access to your soul. But here's the challenge. We live in a world that teaches women to chase, to perform, to prove, to earn, to fight for love, to compromise for acceptance, to silence your intuition just to feel chosen. And when things fall apart, we question ourselves. Was I not enough? Did I mess it up? Should I have tried harder? Baby, no. What you need to understand is sometimes God isn't punishing you. He's preserving you. Preserving the purity of your heart, the softness of your soul, the sacredness of your spirit, because a woman who walks with God walks with power, and when you walk with power, the enemy notices. When you walk with purpose, distractions will come. When you walk in truth, deception will try to disguise itself as love, as opportunity, as destiny. But that's where your spiritual safety net comes in. That's where the Holy Spirit whispers, don't go there. Don't answer that. Let that go. That's where discernment becomes your defense. There is no need to beg to stay where God is trying to remove you from. No need to cry over doors that were never yours to open, because if He's blocking it, then He's blessing you in disguise. He's shielding your future. He's safeguarding your purpose. He's redirecting your steps. And don't mistake redirection for rejection. That's how the enemy tricks you, making you think you lost when you were actually rescued. Some of you are still mourning the departure of people God sent exit signs for. Still trying to revive dead situations. Still clinging to seasons God already concluded. And I get it. It's human. We love familiarity. We crave validation. But growth requires detachment. Healing requires release. And safety requires obedience. God is not obligated to explain what He protects you from. He just needs your trust. And let me tell you something else. Spiritual safety isn't just about protecting your body. It's about covering your mind, your emotions, your identity. The enemy loves to plant seeds of confusion, loves to whisper lies like, you're too much, you'll always be alone, you're not worthy. And if you're not spiritually anchored, those lies take root. That's why God will remove you from environments that feed insecurity. He'll separate you from voices that distort your worth, because your destiny is too important to be tampered with by people who don't value it. You ever wonder why some things seem to fall apart right when they feel perfect? Because perfect doesn't mean aligned. The enemy can dress up danger in everything you desire. That's why you need discernment more than desire. You need God's voice louder than the crowd, because some things look like blessings, but are actually bait. Some connections feel like chemistry, but are actually compromise. And some people seem like gifts, but are sent to distract. Don't get caught chasing what God blocked. Don't keep knocking on a door He's already closed. When He removes, He replaces. When He blocks, He builds. He doesn't just take things away. He makes room for better. For whole, for healthy, for holy, you are not ordinary, you are chosen, and with that calling comes divine security. That means even when you walk through dark valleys, you are not exposed. Even when the storm rages, you are not destroyed. Even when your heart breaks, your spirit remains intact, because you are wrapped in the promises of a faithful God. He said He would never leave you nor forsake you. He said no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He said He'd make a way in the wilderness and streams in the desert. He said all things would work together for your good, and that means even the block was for your good. Even the no was grace. Even the closed door was mercy. So stop fighting what's not fighting for you. Stop begging for crumbs when God has prepared a table. Stop delaying your destiny trying to fit into places you've outgrown. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are covered, and your covering is not fragile. It is fortified by the blood, backed by the word, and sustained by His love. When God says no, it's because He sees the traps. When He delays, it's because He's arranging divine timing. When He hides you, it's because He's preparing you. That hidden season, that lonely chapter, that wilderness experience, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. He was building your roots, strengthening your resolve, teaching you how to stand without applause, training your ears to recognize His voice over the noise. That's protection. That's spiritual safety. So the next time you feel blocked, ask yourself, what if this is God saving me? What if this pain is actually a pivot? What if this disappointment is divine direction? Because I promise you, nothing God allows is wasted. Nothing He removes is needed for your purpose, and nothing He blocks is ever better than what He has planned. You want to walk in power, trust the block. You want to live in peace, accept the redirection. You want to flourish in your purpose, stop trying to open doors God locked. Because what's for you won't require you to compromise who you are. What's for you will be confirmed in peace, and what's for you won't pass you by, not when you're under divine protection. This world will tell you to fight for everything, but sometimes the fight is not in forcing. It's in letting go, letting God, trusting the unseen, believing in what your spirit knows but your eyes can't verify. Because that's faith. And faith is the language of protection. Faith is what activates angels. Faith is what moves mountains. Faith is what makes you safe. Not because life is easy, but because God is sovereign. And in His sovereignty, He blocks what you can't see. He shields you from the unseen. And if you've got enough courage to surrender, enough faith to obey, and enough wisdom to walk away when He says so, you'll find yourself in places that only grace could have carried you to. Surrounded by peace you didn't earn, blessed with joy that doesn't make sense, protected by power that no weapon can penetrate. You are not just a woman, you are a daughter of the King, and daughters of the King don't beg for crumbs, they inherit the kingdom. They don't chase what's leaving, they trust what's lasting. They don't question the block, they praise through it, because they know God blocks what you can't see, and that's exactly why you're still here, whole, covered, and safe. And let me tell you something else. There's a quiet strength in a woman who's been through the fire and came out not just alive, but wiser. You don't gain that kind of strength from everything going your way. No, you earn it through tears you cried alone, battles you fought in silence, and situations that tried to break you, but couldn't touch your spirit because God had you wrapped up in His divine armor. Every time something didn't go your way, every time a plan fell apart, every time a door slammed in your face, God was building something in you. He was building resilience. He was building discernment. He was building a testimony that would shake the gates of hell, and people look at you and wonder how you made it through. They don't know what God blocked for you. They don't know what almost had you, what almost crushed you, what almost took your life, your peace, your sanity. They don't know the nights you didn't sleep, the times you showed up smiling while your heart was breaking. They don't know how many times you wanted to give up but didn't. That wasn't just your strength. That was God stepping in. That was divine interference. That was heavenly security keeping you in place when everything else was trying to pull you under. See, the enemy studies you. He knows the kind of woman you are. He knows the power you carry, and his number one strategy, distraction. If he can't destroy you, he'll distract you. He'll send counterfeits dressed like blessings. He'll send opportunities that look good but come with a hidden cost to your soul. He'll send relationships that feed your loneliness but starve your purpose. But that's why God steps in. That's why he interrupts. That's why he pulls the curtain back when you are ready to walk into the scene. Because he sees the whole script, and he loves you too much to let you play a role that was never written for you. There are women walking around today still bleeding from wounds they got in rooms they were never supposed to be in. Still healing from connections they forced. Still trying to pick up the pieces from decisions they made when they were trying to fill a void only God could satisfy. But let me remind you, your history does not cancel your destiny. Your missteps don't disqualify your calling. Even the things you walked into on your own, God can still use them. That's how good he is. That's how protective he is. He'll take what was meant to break you and make it the very thing that builds you. There's nothing weak about being a woman who needs God. There's power in that dependence. There's beauty in that surrender, because when you lean on God, you gain access to vision beyond your own, to wisdom beyond your experience, to strength that doesn't run out. You become unshakable, not because life doesn't shake you, but because your anchor holds. And baby, when your anchor is in the Lord, storms don't scare you anymore. They reveal what you're made of. They expose who's really for you, and they clear out the clutter so you can see what matters. Some of the greatest clarity you'll ever get will come from closed doors, from silence, from solitude. God will remove noise so you can hear him clearly. He'll isolate you not to punish you, but to realign you, to reset your heart, to recalibrate your vision. And if you keep trying to run back to what's familiar, you'll miss the new thing he's trying to do in your life. Because make no mistake, God doesn't just protect you from what's behind you. He also positions you for what's ahead. But here's what you've got to understand. God doesn't always move the way we expect. He's not obligated to give you a head up before he shifts something. He's not required to make it comfortable. Safety in the spirit isn't always about ease, it's about alignment. Sometimes safety means discomfort. It means walking away when it still feels good, saying no when your emotions say yes, letting go before you see what's next. That's spiritual maturity. That's when you stop letting your feelings make decisions your spirit should govern. You ever feel that pull in your heart, that still small voice that tells you something's off? That's not anxiety. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. That's your spiritual alarm system going off. And too many times we override it because we want to believe the best. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. But let me tell you something. It's better to be alone and aligned than surrounded and sinking. It's better to lose access to people than to lose access to your peace. It's better to let it go than to let it destroy you. And yes, it takes courage. It takes courage to walk away from what you once prayed for, to let go of what you thought you needed. But God doesn't ask for blind trust. He proves himself time and time again. Look back over your life. Count the times you didn't understand it then, but you thank him now. The times you were heartbroken, but you're healed now. The times you felt lost, but you're found now. That's evidence. That's history. That's a pattern of protection you can stand on. Sometimes God will let something fall apart to teach you how to stand up. He'll let you taste disappointment, so you stop settling for less. He'll allow you to feel the sting of betrayal, so you stop giving loyalty to people who never earned it. That's not cruelty, that's love. A love that's more committed to your purpose than your temporary comfort. A love that sees 10 years ahead when you're only focused on today. A love that will break your heart to save your soul. And don't think for a second that because you're walking with God, life will be easy. No, what it means is, even when it's hard, you won't be alone. Even when it hurts, it won't destroy you. Even when you lose, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. And lessons become blessings when you learn from them. When you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That's when you grow. That's when you transform. That's when you elevate. God is not just interested in giving you things. He's interested in forming you, in shaping you, in making you into the woman who can carry the weight of the assignment He's placed on your life. And that formation, it doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the wilderness. It happens in silence. It happens when the only voice you can hear is His. That's safety. That's sacred ground. Don't underestimate what God is doing in your life just because it doesn't look like progress. Don't think you're being punished just because it feels like isolation. Sometimes God has to take you the long way to protect you from what's on the short route. He has to delay the promise to develop your character because you don't just need the blessing. You need the capacity to keep the blessing. You don't just need the door to open. You need the wisdom to walk through it with grace. So while you're waiting, trust the block. While you're healing, honor the process. While you're growing, protect your peace. Because not everyone can come with you. Not everything you desire is designed for your destiny. And not every open door leads to life. Some doors are traps. Some opportunities are setups. But when you're under divine covering, you'll be guided. Even when you don't know where you're going, your steps are ordered. And maybe that's the most powerful truth of all. Your steps are ordered, not random, not accidental, ordered by the one who created you, who called you, who knew your end before your beginning, who's not surprised by your detours, who's not shaken by your failures, who's not intimidated by your doubts. Your life is not chaos, it's choreography. A divine dance between free will and favor, between choices and calling, between what you see and what He sees. So when the door doesn't open, bless it. When the person walks away, release them. When the plan falls through, trust it was never part of His blueprint. Because your safety is not in the planets in the planner. Your protection is not in your ability to control, it's in your willingness to surrender. You want real power, stop trying to see everything. Start trusting the one who sees it all. Because God blocks what you can't see. And that kind of love, that kind of covering, that's the kind that saves your life before you even knew it was in danger. That's the kind that keeps your heart intact in a world designed to break it. That's the kind that transforms a woman into a warrior, not with weapons, but with wisdom, not with fear, but with faith, not with control, but with complete, unapologetic trust in the God who knows exactly what He's doing. And I know, sometimes the hardest part about walking in faith is not the battles you face, but the blessings you don't receive, the prayers you've cried over for years that seem to go unanswered, the dreams that feel like they're sitting on a shelf collecting dust, and you look around and you see other people getting what you've been praying for. You see people stepping into the very things you thought you'd be living in by now. You wonder if somehow you missed it, if somehow God skipped over you, but I'm here to tell you, He didn't skip you. He's saving you. See, delay is not denial. It's divine strategy. God's not just preparing what you asked for, He's preparing you for it. Because what good is a platform if you don't have the stability to stand on it? What good is a relationship if you haven't yet healed from the last one? What good is influence if your identity is still rooted in insecurity? He's not withholding anything from you. He's holding it for you. Until your hands, your heart, and your habits are ready to hold it without it breaking you. And sometimes God will allow you to walk through seasons of silence so your ears get tuned to His frequency, so you stop relying on confirmation from people who don't carry your calling, so you stop measuring your worth by what you can produce. There is safety in silence. There is safety in solitude. Because that's where you find the unshakable truth that even if everything falls away, you're still enough. You're still worthy. You're still chosen. Not because of what you do, but because of whose you are. When God blocks something, it's not random, it's not petty, it's not punishment, it's precision. He's blocking what's not aligned with your anointing. He's removing what will contaminate your calling. He's rerouting you so that your purpose doesn't become a prison. And the thing about God is, He doesn't owe you an explanation. He's not required to give you the why. That's where trust comes in. That's where surrender lies. Not in the clarity, but in the obedience. And if you can learn to trust the block as much as you trust the blessing, you'll move through life with a kind of peace that confuses the enemy. You'll stop panicking every time something doesn't go your way. You'll stop chasing what left. You'll stop forcing what's not flowing. Because when you know who's ordering your steps, you don't have to know the entire path. You just walk. You just show up. You just keep moving forward knowing that no matter what happens, you're covered. Now, I know it's tempting to go back, to reach out, to try to fix what God is tearing down. But hear me. If it cost you your peace, your joy, your purpose, then it was never a blessing. You don't have to lose yourself to keep anyone or anything. You don't have to perform for love. You don't have to beg to be valued. You don't have to explain why your standards are sacred. If something had to leave for you to breathe again, that was not love. It was bondage disguised as companionship. You are not crazy for having boundaries. You're not dramatic for protecting your peace. You're not too much because your spirit refuses to settle for less. You're awake. You're aware. You're anointed. And when you carry an anointing, you can't move like everybody else. You can't entertain just anything. You can't give your heart to people who aren't equipped to handle the weight of your calling. That's not pride. That's wisdom. And let me tell you something. When God really has His hand on your life, He won't let you get away with what other people do. He won't let you stay in places that are beneath your purpose. He won't let you sit at tables where your soul is starving. He will disrupt your comfort. He will stir your spirit. He will strip away everything that's not rooted in Him, because He's not trying to impress you. He's trying to elevate you. And elevation requires separation. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to change directions. It's okay to walk away from the familiar. Because the more you grow in God, the more you realize you were never created to fit in. You were created to stand out. You were created to be a light in the darkness. And sometimes that means walking alone, but you're never truly alone when you're walking with God. He's in every step. He's in every breath. He's in every tear you cry in private. He's working even when you feel forgotten. There are prayers you haven't even prayed yet that God is already answering. There are dangers you didn't even see that God already blocked. There are traps that were set for you that didn't work because God rerouted your path without your permission. That's protection, that's spiritual safety, and it doesn't always feel good, but it's always for your good. You can't afford to be bitter about what left. Bitterness will blind you. It'll keep you stuck in the past while your future is calling. You've got to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You deserve to be free. You deserve to step into everything God has for you without dragging the weight of yesterday. Let it go. Let them go. Let the shame go. Let the guilt go. Because what God is bringing into your life requires space. And maybe that's what this season is really about, making space, clearing out the clutter, making room for joy, making room for purpose, making room for the right people, because God doesn't bless chaos. He blesses order. And when your life is in order, when your heart is in alignment when your mind is renewed, when your spirit is grounded. That's when the blessing flows. That's when the peace settles in. That's when you begin to walk in the fullness of who you were created to be. Don't shrink to fit into places you've outgrown. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Don't trade your crown for crumbs. You are royalty. You are chosen. You are divinely protected. And that protection isn't fragile. It's fierce. That protection will block things that look good but aren't God. That protection will create divine delays that save you from future disasters. That protection will position you in places you didn't even know existed because you trusted when it didn't make sense. There's power in surrender. There's strength in stillness. There's wisdom in waiting. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to rush the process. You don't have to manipulate outcomes. Just rest in the truth that you are safe. Not because you're perfect, but because you're covered. Covered by a love that never fails. Covered by a grace that doesn't run out. Covered by a God who never sleeps on his promises. So stop looking back. Stop second guessing. Stop apologizing for your growth. You're not who you used to be, and thank God for that, because who you were couldn't carry what's coming. Who you were would have settled, would have compromised, would have accepted less just to feel loved. But now you know, now you see, now you believe, and when a woman believes, when she truly believes that she is loved, that she is chosen, that she is protected, she becomes unshakable, she becomes dangerous to the enemy. Because she no longer entertains confusion, she no longer seeks validation, she no longer questions her worth, she knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows who she is, and there is no weapon, no lie, no setback, no loss that can take that away from her. Because what God places his hand on, he covers. What he covers, he protects. And what he protects, nothing can destroy. You are not just a woman. You are a vessel. You are a warrior. You are a walking testimony of what it looks like when God blocks what you can't see and still leads you to victory. So keep your head high. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit tuned, because everything that's for you, everything, is already on its way, and everything that isn't has already been blocked. And baby, that's not a loss, that's love. So let the world misunderstand you. Let them question why you walked away, why you let go, why you changed. Let them speculate, let them talk. Because the truth is, they weren't in the room when you cried out to God. They didn't see the battles you fought on your knees. They weren't there when you were hanging on by a thread, praying for a sign, asking God if he even saw you. They don't know the weight you've carried or the grace that kept you. And they certainly don't understand the kind of spiritual safety that surrounds a woman whose life has been marked by divine intervention. See, there are levels to this thing. There are dimensions to this journey. And when you start moving into higher ground, not everything can come with you. Not everyone can walk with you. Elevation requires separation, and separation doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like heartbreak. Sometimes it looks like unanswered prayers. But what feels like rejection is often just redirection. And what feels like loss is often just God making space for what's greater. You were never meant to blend in. You were never designed to play small. You carry something different. You carry oil. You carry favor. And that's why the warfare's been so intense. That's why the attacks have been relentless. That's why every time you tried to settle, something felt off, because you were created for more. And when God has called you, he'll let everything that doesn't align with your calling fall apart, not to hurt you, but to reveal you. To reveal who you are, to reveal what's in you, to reveal what you've been carrying all along. You are not a victim. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are being positioned, and positioning takes time. It takes pruning. It takes pressure. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Gold doesn't refine without fire. And purpose doesn't emerge without pain. But when you survive what was meant to break you, you gain authority. When you walk through the valley and still worship, you gain power. When you lose everything but still stand, you gain depth. And that depth, that's where real anointing is born. So don't rush this process. Don't despise this season. Don't try to microwave what God is marinating, because the deeper the root, the higher the tree can grow. The more intense the shaping, the greater the assignment. You don't want a surface-level life. You don't want shallow relationships, empty success, temporary highs. You want something real, something sustainable, and that kind of life is only built when God is the foundation. When you let Him block what you can't see and trust that His no is just as holy as His yes. There will be moments when everything in you wants to take control, moments when you're tired of waiting, when the silence feels unbearable, when the loneliness creeps in and the old patterns start to look appealing. But hear me, don't go back. Don't settle, don't shrink. What God has for you requires you to stay rooted, even when it's hard, to stay faithful, even when you don't feel it, to stay obedient, even when it doesn't make sense. Because obedience in the dark leads to blessings in the light. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the next step. You don't have to know the outcome to trust the one who holds the outcome. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is to be faithful, to show up, to listen, to obey, and when you do, watch how God moves. Watch how He opens doors no man can shut. Watch how He brings restoration out of brokenness. Watch how He uses every scar, every setback, every story for His glory. And let's be clear, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't ignore your tears. He bottles everyone. He sees the parts of you that no one else does. The fears you hide, the burdens you carry, the questions you're too afraid to ask, and He loves you still. He loves you completely. Not when you get it all right, not when you're performing, not when you're polished. He loves the raw you, the real you, the wrestling, weeping, waiting you. And that love is what keeps you safe, not from all pain, but from destruction, not from every trial, but from the kind of trial that takes you out. You are stronger than you know. You've survived things that others didn't. You've overcome battles that could have buried you, and you didn't just make it. You grew, you became wiser, softer, sharper. And now you carry a kind of authority that only comes from walking through the fire and coming out refined, not consumed. That's the kind of woman the enemy fears. That's the kind of woman God can trust with influence. Because she doesn't move from ego. She moves from intimacy. She doesn't seek power. She seeks presence. So let this be a reminder. Your worth isn't tied to your performance. Your identity isn't in your relationship status, your job title, or your bank account. You are who God says you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are more than a conqueror. And no matter what tries to come against you, no matter what rises up to distract, delay, or destroy you, it will not prevail. Because the one who promised is faithful, and yes, you'll have to make hard choices. You'll have to say no when everything in you wants to say yes. You'll have to walk away from people you love. You'll have to forgive what you'll never get an apology for. You'll have to trust when the evidence isn't there. But in doing so, you'll gain something unshakable. You'll gain clarity, peace, power, not the kind the world gives, but the kind that anchors your soul in every storm. Don't let the world convince you that soft means weak. Don't let culture convince you that submission means silence. Don't let your past convince you that you're disqualified. You are a force. You are a vessel. And you are under divine protection, not because of what you've done, but because of what He's spoken over you. And when God speaks, nothing can undo it. Not the lies, not the losses, not the delays. His word is final, and His plans for you, they're good, even when they don't feel good. They are working for your benefit and your becoming. Sometimes God will allow the storm to rage, not to destroy you, but to reveal that it can't. To remind you of the authority you carry, to show you that you're not a victim of circumstance. You're a vessel of victory. You don't need to fight every battle. Some battles are won in silence. Some victories are birthed in stillness. Let God fight for you. Let Him cover you. Let Him handle what you can't see. The spiritual safety of a woman in alignment with God is unmatched. She walks different. She loves different. She speaks with power, not pride. She moves with grace, not fear, and everything she touches is blessed, not because she's perfect, but because she's positioned in faith, positioned in purpose, positioned under the covering of a God who never failed. So keep going, keep trusting, keep becoming, because the woman you're growing into, she's everything the younger you prayed for, everything the enemy tried to stop, and everything this world needs. She is the evidence of what happens when God blocks what she can't see and blesses her anyway. So let this truth settle deep in your spirit. You are not just walking through life, you are being led. Every step, every pause, every detour has been filtered through the hands of a God who knows the end from the beginning. He sees what you cannot, protects you from what you don't perceive, and preserves you for what you've yet to walk into. That's not just love. That's intentionality, that's divine strategy. So stand tall, not because the road is easy, but because your footing is sure. Rest easy, not because the storm has passed, but because the one who calms the storm is with you. Move boldly, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the one who does. You are spiritually safe, not by chance, but by design. God blocks what you can't see not to limit you, but to lift you. Not to keep you from something, but to deliver you to something far greater. And when you learn to praise Him for the block just as much as the breakthrough, that's when you know you're walking in spiritual maturity. That's when you become unshakable, you are covered, you are chosen, you are walking in divine safety, and the best part, you haven't even seen the full picture yet. Keep walking, keep trusting, because what's ahead will make sense of everything behind.